Hello, good evening, everybody. I'm Chong Chen Yao. Welcome to the webinar on building a disability inclusive society. Good evening or good morning. We have guests from all the Pacific regions, and we have also even friends from Canada, Australia, Japan, Hong Kong, obviously. So welcome. We have over 60 organizations, employer organizations, signing up for this webinar because there are so many people who are concerned about inclusive employment. We are very honored and pleased to have such a turnout because in the past year, when we are coping with the COVID-19 epidemic, unemployment is a challenge for everybody, especially for those with visual impairment. In a particular case in Hong Kong, and I'm sure in other parts of East Asia, we have masseurs being unable to operate, provide their service for months, going on without income. So, and not to mention the other people in different other different types of employment. Okay, but going forward in the recovery, which is bound to happen, employment will pick up. And is that an opportunity for an even better inclusive employment workplace? Let's hope we can do that. My name is Chong Chen Yao. So Chong is my surname. I'm the president of the Hong Kong Blind Union, and the Hong Kong Blind Union is very pleased to host this webinar. Personally, I have been in inclusive employment after graduating from the University of Hong Kong and also gaining a master's degree from the London School of Economics. So I have been trying to prove that blind people can be in different mainstream employment and in leadership positions. So in the past, I was the executive director of Oxfam Hong Kong. In fact, the first Chinese person managing any Oxfam affiliates around the world. And one of the big events that we organized was Trail Walker, which is very popular in Hong Kong. Requiring participants to walk for 100 kilometers. So it's a trying event. So I've been organizing that with the support of 3,000 volunteers. So right now I'm running an organization promoting solutions to climate change. We are running a program on building solar systems to generate renewable energy so that our Earth can be sustained. So today, I'm not going to take this opportunity to introduce myself, but I have a very good interview with Be My Eyes Only, which will be introduced later. And people can go there and listen to the interview. And I wanted to share with you briefly my experience in order to emphasize today that there is no preset limit, stereotype limit to the kind of employment that blind people are capable and qualified to be working in. So it depends on motivation, training, and most importantly, opportunities. So today, joining me will be three distinguished speakers and leaders. Ron Horton, CEO of Vision Australia, which is the biggest service organization for blind people in Australia. So here we talking about the Australian perspective on inclusive employment. And we have Ms. Ada, Microsoft Philanthropy and Corporate Directors in Hong Kong. And she will be sharing with us the Microsoft perspective on employment. Finally, we will have Hans Weiber. Hans-Jürgen Heiberg is the founder of a popular apps, Be My Eyes Only. I'll leave him to introduce how this will be a helping tool to people looking for employment. And then at the end, I will be conducting a discussion and also sharing with you the World Blind Union's Employment Committee's survey on employment opportunities for the blind around the world. And in the meanwhile, we will show you some of the real case. So we'll start with a video, and then we'll show you a demonstration of technology, how technology can help. But so with that, I hope that we will be able to come out of this conference confident that we will be able to build a more inclusive employment workplace. Thank you.
Hello， 我係 Benny， 咁我係一位視障人士，咁亦都係喺呢個 Marina Cup 裏邊嘅 Cup Barista， 咁就而家喺度做嘢啦，都已經超過3年㗎啦。我呢部咖啡機咧就獨立放咗喺度，咁我覺得設施都係一啲硬件嘅嘢咯，人與人之間嘅溝通比較緊要啲咯。
知道當年我哋公司要請一個失明人士嚟做我哋嘅員工嘅時間咧，其實我自己都好擔心，究竟我哋適唔適應啊，或者公司夠唔夠足夠嘅 backup 係可以去支持到呢個同事啊？咁我哋都發覺原來其實唔係我哋想象中咁困難嘅。咁其實經過適當嘅培訓同埋適當嘅溝通啦、交流啦，咁絕對係失明人士絕對係可以幫到我哋手。
I'm just, surprised every day about him, about you, about how you do things around, and you're always ready to help people. And yeah, sometimes I actually doubt myself that you you know more than you're supposed to, you know. Supervise Benny, it's actually a pleasure because it's not a big deal to organize his job during the day. It's very self-didacta. It's really, really happy and easy for me. Everybody need to have a chance to prove themselves in this world. It's not very difficult to accommodate their needs for let them work in a proper way. Just they need to have their own space. And it needs to make also the team around the visually impaired person to be more aware about their needs and help them when they need. And that's it. I mean, it's just about being human and helping each other, so as everybody should do. So yes, I would totally recommend a person to hire a visually impaired person.
有時可能難忘啲，可能係你知道大家做到攰嘅時候，你就走埋嚟問下幫唔幫到我哋手啦。同事之間安排啲嘢俾視障人士去做啦，咁就要小心啲佢周圍嘅嘢。你知視障人士睇唔到嘢啦，咁就嗰啲獎好緊要嘛，對佢嚟講，要預留一個位穩定都係喺個位俾佢擺翻啲獎。咁我覺得同視障人士合作真係嚟 band 你啦，咁同健視人士其實冇分別嘅喎，咁可能甚至佢哋喺工作上面啦，喺其他任何環境上面可能佢哋嘅靈敏度仲高啲添，留意到一啲我哋留意唔到嘅嘢啦，咁唔一定係因為佢哋有視障啦而幫唔到我哋手。
Benny is delivering a fantastic quality coffee. He also remembers the guest preferences, and that requires more than skills, that requires passion. I trust to know him very reliable.
就係我以前老細講一句，將不可能變成可能，將可能變成可以，最緊要係行出第一步。
Have a good impression of Annie, but he is now working in a rather exclusive club, so you will not be able to go to taste his coffee unless you are a member. But we are building a coffee in Western District very soon. In June, it will be open with more visually impaired persons being baristas. So we will be able to welcome everybody. And then we will build in massage service with a cafe. So this is an innovation. So I'm also a coffee drinker, so I'm learning as well. Well, with that, I would like to invite Ron Horton, Chief Executive Officer of Vision Australia. He also serves on the World Blind Union Employment Committee. And Ron is a very dedicated leader in the blindness service field. So Ron, time is yours. Okay. Some problem? Hello. Okay, we are sorting out the problem getting Ron on board. Well, it's now dinner time in Australia, so but Ron is kind enough to devote his time to share with us. And I think we can solve out the problem very soon, right? Okay, should we try to change the order and invite Ms. Ada Ng, Director of Corporate Affairs and Philanthropy of Microsoft, to speak first, and then we'll come back to Ron later.
Hi, Mr. Zhang, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, happy to see you again.
Hi, thank you, welcome.
Yeah, hello everyone. Let me share my screen first. Can anyone see my screen?
Okay, can people see Ada's screen? Yeah.
Yes. So thank you. Hello, my name is Ada. I am the Microsoft team. I work for the Corporate Affairs and Philanthropy of Microsoft Hong Kong. So thank you, Hong Kong Blind Union, inviting me to speak in this webinar. Today, I will cover briefly about the Microsoft inclusive culture, the job market trend in this digital transform era, and the accessibility tools that can help the people with disability to have the equal opportunities to study, to live, and to work, especially to work now. And also, I will share a little bit about the free learning resources in market for them. So before I start, I want to share with you a little story. Last year, I hired a hearing impaired lady from the Labor Department Inclusive Hiring Program. Before that, I was a bit worried. I worry about, do I need to buy some equipment to assist her work? Or can my team communicate with her? Or how can she attend all the events and all the meetings? Especially we need to attend a lot of global meetings, virtual meetings. And do I need to give her some simple job rather than the complicated job? That is all my misperception. Actually, after 1 year, she finished her contract. I feel so proud of her. I just feel that she really is the asset in whatever company she was in. Although she's hearing impaired, it is different from what our topic today, the visually impaired, but I can see that they are a real asset to different company, as long as you give them the opportunity to try. It is the, how to say that, the entry cost is not as difficult or as complicated as what you expect. And also today, my whole presentation deck actually is prepared by her before she left. And also the newsletter at the end is a very comprehensive accessibility tools newsletter. It's also developed by her. So let's get started. So first of all, I want to share about Microsoft mission. Our mission is to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. But we strongly believe that empowerment begins with inclusion. Hello?
Yeah.
Is there any problem? Can anyone hear me? It's okay, because my screen suddenly disappeared. It's okay, then I continue. Okay. So our mission is to empower every one organization to achieve more. However, we believe that empowerment begins with inclusion, so that we are really strong in the inclusive culture, both outside and inside Microsoft. So let's talk about why Microsoft needs to have inclusive culture. Because the first thing, we know that the customer, there are more than 1 billion of people with disability in the world, and then they are actually our customer. And about only 10% of them can access the accessibility technology. Therefore, we have a big customer base that need us. And not talking about the permanent disabled. When we talk about people who is temporarily disabled, there's more than this number. For example, I played badminton last week and then I twist my legs. I need to have a crunch with me. Then I am a partially disabled people. For example, the mother, the new baby mother, she need to carry the baby. The other hand only have one hand to work. Then she is also partially disabled. So all this is more than 1 billion that need the accessibility technology. So that is other than the customer. When we talk about people who are working with us, we also have a very strong inclusive culture. In Microsoft, we hire a lot of people with different disability, and then we even have an inclusive, autism recruitment week. That is especially in US to hire autism people, because we can see that people with disability, they are actually having different strengths that is already an asset to the company. So there is a survey by Accenture in 2018. They are talking about a company who hire disabled people have 28% higher revenue and 30% better in the economic profit margin. So that is not really amazing result, because we can see that a lot of people with disability, they are more loyal. Can you hear me? Do I need to speak louder? Hello?
Yeah, it's okay.
It's okay. So yeah. The people, they are more loyal, and then also they have some special strengths that you need to identify them, and then they can really help the company. So that is some of the reason why Microsoft have a strong inclusive culture of hiring inclusive people, and also customer service on all the product, all the service to them. So the next topic I want to talk about is the digital transformation in the workplace. I talked a lot about this topic recently because of the pandemic, because a lot of company is having the layoff of the employee, so that we can see that there is a big market change, especially with the technology before pandemic. We are all talking about technology is changing the whole world. Technology is changing the job market. A lot of jobs being transformed, so that people need to upskill. Let me give you some data. We're talking about World Economic Forum, the Future of Job Report 2020. They say that because of the technology, AI, all that is transforming the whole world, a lot of jobs are being replaced by technology. There is a saying that by 2025, 85 million of the job will be displaced by technology. Especially it's faster during this pandemic. What kind of job will be displaced? We can see that from the list here. There are about some example accountant, example bookkeeping, because all them can use technology to do the data clarification, data verification, etc. And for example, the factory, we can see that a lot of factory are having way less people than before. When you go to visit the factory, the whole production line only need 1 people. Compared with 10 years ago, it's 100 people on the production line. Is very different, because all these jobs can be done by technology now. Therefore, they can be replaced. So people will be worried. You say that 85 million of the job will be displaced. Then will that take my job? Will I lose my job because of it? So that part, I always ask people, don't worry. There are the survey talk about that 97 million of role will be newly emerged in different countries. What kind of job will be emerged? They're talking about 97 over 85. Therefore, more job will be emerged. What kind of job will be emerged? You can see that AI, big data, data analytics, digital marketing, all these are the jobs that need people to teach the computer how to do the job. Need people to do the analytics, to help the computer to find the insight, what kind of solution. So all this is what we need people. So don't worry, the machine will not eat our job, will not take on all our job. We still have a lot of opportunity out there. But from this, you can see that how we can grab this opportunity is you need to upskill. We need to upskill. We need to upskill us with more digital skill in order to get the market latest job. So this is the global data. Let's go closer to Hong Kong. Although I know that there's a lot of international people here, let's talk about Hong Kong. We are always talking about the latest very high in demand skill set is ABC, AI, big data, cloud computing. This is a chart showing the Hong Kong LinkedIn data. That is all the in-demand job in Hong Kong. They are all in bubble. I elaborate a little bit in visual. They are all in bubble. All are the high in-demand skill set. But when I talk about ABC just now, AI, big data, cloud computing, they are in the far right corner. Far right corner is the most highest in-demand skill set and the fast growth rate. So ABC is a very far right corner. However, the bubble have the size. The bubble size of ABC is super small, super small. That means Hong Kong can provide very few talent in this skill set. Therefore, I always talk to the university student. If you go to computer science or technology degree, please stay tuned on more about ABC. Then learn more. You will have a high opportunity in the market. So after this, I want to share with you, you will say about, Ada, I'm not technical person. I'm not interested in really high tech, but I just need a job. What can we do? We also have another research talking about technology is not only for tech people. We are talking about a lot of entry-level jobs, say secretary, say receptionist, say customer service officer. They also need the basic digital skills, especially in the recent world. Why I say that? Talking about our secretary or your secretary, you may think that their job role is to help the boss to schedule the meetings, right? But now I tell you, they don't need to schedule the meeting at all, or in most of the time, because in the Outlook, AI can do all the function of the scheduling. Now I can easily, using Outlook AI, to schedule the time with the meeting room with 10 people availability time, all in one click. So it is become a very easy road, so that the secretary, they don't need to schedule meeting now. Then what they need to do, they now need to help the boss to, example, prepare the presentation deck in PowerPoint, or to help the boss to do some reporting using Excel, have some visualization chart, so that they're doing more about the digital skills that they need in order to help their job. Talk about customer service officer. For example, the hotline people, a lot of hotline in the market, and they are now having a trend using chatbot. Chatbot, if you're not aware, chatbot is an AI function to help to answer some frequently asked questions for the hotline people, so that don't need a real person to do that job. For example, in Hong Kong, we have Cafe, have Vera, we have MTR, we have a Daisy. They will answer some frequently asked questions for the people. So what the customer service officer need to know about technology? They at least need to know how the chatbot is working. They need to teach the chatbot what is the company asked question and what will be his answer. Because AI is just a computer, you need to teach it, it will learn it by themselves. So that I think that the basic entry-level job like this, the receptionist, the customer service officer, they need to have a basic concept, what is the digital knowledge in order to advance their job. So that is my point. So next, I want to talk about talking about the upskill. And then next, I want to talk about how it's linked to people with disability. Because I can see that with all the technology advanced now, people with disability, they can utilize different accessibility tools to help them to get that job. Especially just now I mentioned all the technology that, all the digital skill that required. Everyone can learn that skill set, especially with all the accessibility tools. Even people with different disability, they can learn the same skill set. So let's go to what are they? So because of the time, so that I only select 3 tools to share with you. I will have more at the end of the PowerPoint deck. You can read more. First of all, before I go into that 3 tools, I want to talk about some generic one. That generic one, I won't go into details because maybe they are commonly known by people with disability. For example, the built-in subtitle, especially people now are using different phone to have voice to text, text to voice. And Office Lens, you can just take a picture, they become text, and then you can become voice. Ease of Asset, that is the one that I strongly recommend all the people who need help in Windows, go into it. Ease of Asset, they have all the function like different color of the windows to help people with visually impaired They have a different voice function. They have all the things that people with disability can really find it useful. So other than that, talk about students. Student has also have different accessibility tools like the learning tools to help them to read the message, to help them to enlarge the wording, make the line be a focus line for people with dyslexia. All these different functions. Dictate. Dictate, just now I mentioned about people who have disability on the arm. They can use voice to do an email, to write an email, or to do a PowerPoint deck. So our editor, all these are different functions. And next, I will show a few examples that is useful. The first thing is for the visually impaired. That is a small function, but I think it's really useful because whenever we do PowerPoint presentation, we will do an alternative text. Because a lot of people who is visually impaired, they cannot see our deck. But when we put a picture there, they really don't know what's it. So in the PowerPoint, they have a function called alternative text. That is, whenever you, sorry, this is a GIF that you cannot play now. But let me see. Yeah, you cannot play now. But whenever you copy a picture and paste it in the PowerPoint, you will have all text immediately comment to you. This is an AI try to tell you what this picture is about. You can change it. And then the AI will tell you this is a bunch of bananas in the picture. So it is easily to let the people with disability to read your PowerPoint deck with this picture. I think it's really helpful. And the next one, I want to select one for the hearing impaired. Hearing impaired, remember that just now I tell you that my intern who can only read lips. So that how can he attend all our meetings, everyday meetings in using Teams? So she tell me that Teams has a function called Teams caption. You see from the GIF file, he can easily touch that button to turn on the caption. In that caption, immediately everyone talk in the meetings will have their subtitle at the bottom. It's an instant message. Now you say that I'm Christy from Microsoft. It's nice to meet you here today. I would like to introduce you Teams caption to you all. So that is how it works. So feel free to utilize it next time when you use Teams caption. And then the last one, I want to share another simple one with you is for everyone, with people with disability. I believe that everyone, when you develop a PowerPoint, you may not be considered how a visually impaired or hearing impaired people can see that PowerPoint, can read that. So this one will have a function called accessibility checker. I believe that all of you use a Microsoft Office have the experience of using spell check, right? Spell check is whenever I need some help on all the whole document, even Word or PowerPoint, I want a spell check on whether my grammatically correct or whether I have any spelling error. It will help me to check everything, right? This accessibility checker is using the same function. It helps you to check that whether your document can be readable by people with disability. For example, this is a Word document. I just go to review, check accessibility. They will give you all the error or hard to read points that you need to change. For example, just now I mentioned that the picture that people cannot see, cannot read that, they will remind you to put a caption there. For example, the color is too bright. You cannot see the wording. They will share with you that you need to change the color. So that is the accessibility checker I strongly recommend people to use. So there is a summary of some of the accessibility tools for different dyslexia, hearing impaired, physically impaired, etc. Please feel free to utilize it. This is summarized in a newsletter by my intern, actually. There is a lot in Microsoft, but I just extract some latest one that may be useful for you guys that may not aware of. So please feel free to use this link and this QR code to get that newsletter. Or this that I believe that Hong Kong Blind Union will send to all the audience that, and then you can log into it. So my last section, I want to share about some free learning resources, especially just now Ada mentioned about how important is ABC. Even I'm a non-technical person, I also want to know what is the basic knowledge of ABC, AI Big Data Cloud Computing. So this is all the resources free of charge. You can learn more to upskill yourself in order to get ready to the job. So the first one, if you are people who are searching for a job, this site is really useful for you. This site is called Skilling Initiative. It's developed by Microsoft, LinkedIn, and GitHub. So 3 of our company get our strength and develop this one. First of all, it's a one-stop shop for job seeker who get upskill and to job match. First of all, it will tell you what is different industry, different country, high in demand skill set, high in demand job. So we select these 10. These 10 example, software developer, digital marketing, data analyst, they are really high demand. Even Microsoft, we cannot hire people on that in the Hong Kong. And then the next one, they will share with you all the training material that you can learn it online by yourself. Especially they have caption. Even people with disability, you can read it by yourself. And then after that, this is a linking platform, of course, you can link it with different employer to get a job. And you get a job, you get an interview. You can have all the tips, what is the interview skill set, and what is the frequently asked question you can learn. So all this in one-stop platform. Feel free to utilize it to get a job. Even you have a job, feel free to utilize it to upskill of the latest job trend. And the next one is when you have a basic technical knowledge, you want to learn more, you want to more upskill on the Microsoft certification. Microsoft Learn really can help you. They have very comprehensive learning from very beginner level to advanced level. So just feel free to utilize it. And then especially in this platform, we use a lot of customer case. Microsoft, how we help the customer to transform, use AI, use big data, all the examples are there. Feel free to utilize it, also with caption and with all the accessibility tools inside. And then the last one, I just want to work as a basic officer level. I just want a basic productivity tools. So this site can help you. It covers all the Microsoft 365, including Word, PowerPoint, Excel. Other than that, we have SharePoint, OneNote, Teams, all that, the latest digital skill that the company are using. After you equip yourself with this, it's easier for you to get into a new job. So especially all our video easy with caption, and some of them have Chinese, I remember that, have Cantonese, have Chinese subtitle too. So feel free to utilize all these learning resources in order to equip yourself to be upskilled and then easily to get a job. So don't worry, I believe that with all the technology in the world and the fast trend, people with disability will be getting closer and closer to normal people on their skill set. So last but not least, I would like to show you a video how people with visually impaired can assist the job, assist the career, assist the life, and assist the study with a tool called Seeing AI app, which is a free app in iOS version. So please enjoy the video. I need to stop sharing first. Yeah.
My take on life is that life is definitely there for the taking. What you put in is what you'll get out. Two things important to me in life are family and music. They both play a huge part in my life. Technology allows me to be my own one-man band. I try to be as independent as I can, and the way that I do that mostly is with low tech, which is a white cane, and high tech, which is a phone.
Seeing AI.
Seeing AI is one of the biggest deals in technology, I think, at the moment for visually impaired users. It's an app that you can read almost anything, anywhere with it.
Kilburn High Road. Fashion. Workspace. Mayonnaise.
It has a multitude of functions, and they all work together to produce something that you can use whenever you need it. It might even be considered to be a Swiss Army knife of apps. Of all the parts of Seeing AI, I really do think short text is the biggest of the game changers.
Northwest 6.
Because I've never seen anything like that in any other app before. And I like being in the back of cabs or in buses and pointing it out the window and seeing what I pass on the way to places.
Mobile phone NC 4000 services.
One of the greatest things about short text for me is that if there's no one else in the house, I can sort the post into who's who.
Mrs. K. Louis. Mrs. Kirsten Louis.
So I don't open my wife's post and she doesn't get cross with me. Package.
go. Well, Andre.
My man Alex.
Good.
One fella.
Blessed.
£20.
That's really cool.
Currency is a very useful channel because sometimes it's very difficult to know what notes actually are. So with currency, I can detect that straight away.
£5.
Job done. 2025.
Well done.
Scene preview.
Scene is actually really cool. It's quite descriptive, really.
Processing. A store filled with lots of different types of fruit.
I think that's pretty amazing.
Terrific.
In my view, one of the best parts of seeing AI is the ability to read pictures from social media. Because so many times someone will send me a picture of something that I cannot understand. So I will share that picture to Seeing AI.
Scene. Probably a group of people sitting on a bench in a park.
And then I'll get a description of what it is.
Person. 8-year-old boy with black hair looking happy, 7-year-old girl with brown hair looking disgusted.
And it's changed how I can view social media. It feels like I can participate.
Like, reply.
Far more than I could before.
Thank you for sharing. Handwriting preview.
With Handwriting Channel, I was actually able to read a card from a family member last year. That's the first time I'd actually been able to do that without help.
Dear Dad.
That was
Alice
very
worked.
good.
We can tell if Jake's been writing well if the handwriting tab can recognize it. That's good proof, really.
We love you, Daddy. XXXXXX.
We've got lots of X's. The effect of having Seeing AI to hand all the time is like having somebody who can see in your pocket.
34-year-old man with a beard wearing a hat looking happy.
Why not?
There is so much more that I can do now that I couldn't before. You've grown up.
I used to be 9.
I think Seeing AI really is a huge technological step down the road, and I hope that we can continue down a road like this for many years to come.
So that is all for my part. Let me hand over to Mr. Zhang. Thank you.
For those who want to raise any questions, you can share in the chat room. So let's move on to Ron, where let's get him online now. Hi, Ron.
Hi, Chen Yao. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, definitely. Very loud and clear. So the time is yours, Ron.
I won't say with Ada still in the room that Windows hung on me. I think it was probably my fingers, not her software, that was the problem. Hi, everyone. I come from Melbourne in Australia. It's a very, very cold late autumn evening here tonight, and it's about 8 o'clock. What I'd like to talk to you about today is the Australian perspective of employment for people who are blind or have low vision. My message today is that I think it's getting better. And I think, Chanyao, your earlier comments about the coming out of COVID being an opportunity is absolutely true, and it's ringing true in Australia. Recent figures in Australia just released in the last few days show that unemployment is coming back to the same levels as it was pre-COVID. What our people in Australia, our employment consultants that support people who are blind or have low vision to get jobs, are seeing is more employers post-COVID more interested in employing people with blindness and low vision. So I think the signs are very, very good. And I'm going to talk today a little bit about my organization because we're a big employer of people who are blind or have low vision. We employ 100 people of our 800 staff in full open employment, doing jobs as well as their sighted peers. I'd also like to pick on a number of comments that Ada made about technology. I think technology is the most significant thing for people who are blind or have low vision to help them get jobs and to help them do a great job when they get into an employment. A good friend of mine, Ron McCallum, some of you may know him, says that at this time today, it's never been a better time to be blind. The technology that's available, like Seeing AI that was demonstrated just now, opens up so many opportunities for people who are blind or have low vision to be in full, meaningful employment. I mentioned before my organization, Vision Australia. I'm very, very proud of our organization. We are the largest employer of people who are blind or have low vision in Australia. As I mentioned before, we have 800 people in our organization. Over 100 are are blind or low vision, and they are in an enormous number of jobs. Now, I'm going to bore you for a moment because I'm going to tell you the jobs that our people are in because I think they're significant. We have a Salesforce administrator who has very, very low vision. 2 or 3 of our IT admin people who fix computers, support people, are blind or have low vision. We have an accessible technology help desk where the entire team is blind. We have 50% of our call center staff are blind or have low vision. We've just hired a graphics designer in our organization, a person who builds pictures for a living who's got low vision. We do accessible technology training for people right throughout the community with our teams of blind or low vision staff. We have people in retail. We have people in administration. We have radio announcers, our marketing and communications team. The guy who does my videos is blind. And we have a person who builds instructional content and instructional videos for people. All that, along with having 2 of our general managers, 2 of our most senior people in our organization, one of whom has got half the staff in the organization reporting to her, are blind. So what I tell organizations right across Australia about our organization is that we prove that it can be done. We prove that people, if you've got the right culture, the right attitude towards hiring with people with disabilities, it can be done. And I'd like to go back just to that technology conversation. I think that technology is the piece of the puzzle that allows people who are blind to have low vision to do their job the same as sighted peers. The technology that Microsoft have produced in the Office suite allow people to accessibly get access to information, communicate with others in a brilliant way, and it can't be underestimated. In the Australian context more broadly, it has been a little bit slow in terms of people seeing the benefits of employing people who have vision loss. What we have as a movement going in Australia at the moment is a big focus on hiring people with disabilities so that their lived experience can be built into the products and services that organisations are providing. In Australia, around about 20% of the population has a disability, so around about 5 million people. And that's a very, very big market. I mean, only 400,000 or 500,000 of those people have got vision loss. But for us and for many other organisations, people are starting to see the benefit of having that diversity within their organisations. Some other jobs that people are doing in Australia with a vision disability, osteopathy, physiotherapy, psychology, social work, counselling, lots and lots of jobs in human services. We have numerous university lecturers, lots and lots of lawyers, many accountants, pretty much all the professions that you see in organisations right across the world, people who are blind or have low vision can do. I mean, we often talk about the barriers of sight, and you know, like people without sight can't be airline pilots. But so what? Actually, there are not that many airline pilots with jobs these days. But by goodness me, with the aging population we've got in the Western world today, the number of people in human services, the number of psychologists and counsellors that are going to be needed to support people into their older years is going to be huge. And those jobs won't, for the large part, be supplanted by AI. Chanya, you talked about the massage therapists being out of work. That won't be for long because there are a whole lot of people, I think, that are going to need those sorts of services as they age. In Australia, big organisations are starting to take on the challenge of diversity, the challenge of bringing people who are blind to have low vision into their organisations. We work closely with lots and lots of universities, both in terms of employing people, but also in terms of making their learning management systems and their materials accessible. We work with banks, all of the banks, about getting diversity into their population of employees. The ANZ particularly has got a global manager of disability Hamish McKenzie, who is blind. Seek, the big organisation for online recruitment, has recruited numerous people from Vision Australia just in the last few years. Medibank, a big insurer, Bupa, many of you will have heard of that, and government agencies. All of these people are starting to employ people, and the New South Wales government, one of our state governments, has recently introduced a 5.6% quota for people with disabilities. I think the signs are great. I'd like to leave you with just a few very final thoughts. My top employees in my organisation, my most trusted and closest colleagues, are blind. I'll tell you about Karen Knight. Karen Knight was blind from birth. She's a clinical psychologist. She's general manager with a budget of around about 50 million Australian dollars. She's a solo mother with 2 children, teenagers, the toughest of the lot. And just recently, she completed an MBA with high distinction at the same time as being a general manager in our organisation, and that's not an easy job. So I keep telling people the Karen story so that they can understand that people who are blind or have low vision, their eyes don't work that well, so what? It doesn't affect their brain. It doesn't affect their ability to do their job. There's absolutely amazing potential in blind and low vision staff. Their loyalty is very high. Their professional capability is as good as everybody else, and their diversity adds to organisations. They're just as productive as sighted people. They have less workplace accidents. A lot of people tell me that people who are blind or have low vision have more accidents. That's nonsense. We haven't, touched wood, had an accident in our organisation with a blind or low vision person in 5 years. And quite often, they have better qualifications than their sighted peers. Chanyao, thank you very much for the opportunity to participate in this webinar. I think it's a fantastic opportunity that you've offered there, and it's a fantastic initiative from the Hong Kong Blind Union. So I thank you for the participation, and I'm going to be hanging on for question time in a few minutes.
Ron, to stay tuned, or while you are getting a cup of tea or some dim sum to go for, we are having great support from Bailey Guilford, who sponsored this event and also the production of the video. And also we have great support from Michael Page, the international headhunter, who has invited a lot of their clients to join. I think that this is a great message. I want to pass a message to the headhunting, the recruiters, because it's definitely a challenge to get employers to find the right persons. And I think it makes your job much easier if you open up to a new source of talents in the disability community. So great work for Michael Page. I hope you will continue to convince the employers that not to limit their talent pool. Okay, I would like to now invite Johnny to do some demonstrations, and I would like to thank again Ron for
viewing as desktop list.
Thank you, Mr. John.
Yeah.
Okay, my name is Johnny. I'm the IT officer of Hong Kong Blind Union. Today, I'm going to give you a demonstration on how a visually impaired people is using the productivity software on a daily basis. Actually, there are quite a number. I think apart from the people who work in the massage, or as you can see in the beginning video, it is very encouraging that we have opened up a lot of job opportunities. But there are still a number of people, blind people working in the clerical works. So Microsoft Office or other Office suite software will be majorly used on a daily basis. So apart from the accessibility of such software, we also required an assistive tools that help our works. So in general, there are two types of visually impaired people. One for low vision. They can require, they're using the screen magnifier to zoom in the screen so that they can view it more clearly. On the other hand, as you can hear a lot of annoying voices, which is the system message from the screen reader on my machines. And this is the one for the people with severe visual impairment or total blindness like me. Okay.
Meeting controls, row 1, Johnny, row 1, column.
Okay, now, so let's start the demonstration.
Demo PowerPoint.pp, demo Word.docs 3.
Okay, the three applications that we commonly use Microsoft Word for document.
Demo Word.docs Word. Microsoft Word document edit multi-line page 1 section 1 blank.
Okay, so the screen reader will read out. What is a screen reader? Screen reader is a software that can convert the text content on the screen and output with speech or with outputting to the braille display so that it gives a tactile feedback to the blind users. Okay, so the characteristics of screen reader is like a linear reading, so it reads the information from left to right, top to the bottom. So that whenever I type something on the screen, it will read out immediately.
Ari Hazelman has joined. Spelling error.
Okay. Because I cannot see the screen, what we need is the only device that can help for inputs is the keyboard. So we will rely on a lot of keyboard shortcuts. For example, I think most of you will know
ABC
Control C for copy, Control V for paste, Control X for cut, etc. But there are lots more keyboard shortcuts. For example, I can increase the font size by pressing Control right square bracket. Oh, sorry.
Set default. Demo Word. 13-point font. 14-point font.
You will have a largest
T.
Okay, we also have Control B for bold.
Hold on. T.
Control U for underline.
T.
As you can see on the screen. So many people will apply such a font style to convey a special meaning. For example, if they apply a bold size with a larger font size, then they are used for headings. But from the screen reading point of view, what we read, for example, it had this one.
Test.
We can only read the words. And there's some shortcut key from the screen reader and let us know what the font style it is.
Style normal Calibri 14 PT default color bold underlined align left line spacing single.
Okay, so we can know that it is a bold underlined font with 14 points. Actually, in the screen reader, there's also a lot of
Nvda settings.
Information that can set. In our case, Nvda, we can
font size checkbox not checked alt +F. Font attributes checkbox not checked.
Font attribute.
Superscripts and subscripts checkbox not checked.
There are a lot. But I tried not to enabling all the characteristics. Therefore, it will not distract our normal use.
Blank.
Apart from changing the size, it is a best practice to apply the style. For example, I can press a shortcut key to
Heading 1 style, outline level.
Okay. So we have the heading 1 style, then we can write the
20215.
text. And why this is important, because as the Ada from Microsoft has already mentioned, there is accessibility checking, and which is a benefit for the visually impaired users to read the document. So when I change the screen reader to a browse mode, so it works just like a web page, then I can use some quick navigation key and jump over the
section 1 2 getting
content.
started with Word heading level 1.
So
Goals
if
for
you
this
have lots
section,
of
heading level
information
2.
on the document, then we
2.1
can
starting Word heading
easily jump to different content. Okay.
Johnny window. Demo Excel.xls.
So the next one.
Demo Excel.xlsx Excel. Interest table.
Actually, the Excel is mostly used for
0.1%
calculation. For example, if I set this a lot of formulas, then I change the values.
Table.
All the
10,000
information with that formula will be updated. Okay.
Ticket table.
So as you can see, even if I'm using a keyboard, I can be able to use all the functionalities of the applications. It's not just limited to the Microsoft Office suite application. Nowadays, most applications developed from the IT giants has already included accessibility features so that it is suitable for users who use a screen reader to operate it. Such as the Google Docs, Microsoft Office, even for Oracle Financial or all others enterprise resource planning software. So it is very capable for the blind users to work in the office environment. Okay, I think time's running out. That's the end of my demonstration. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Johnny, for an excellent demonstrations. Well, this evening we have a lot of common themes in technology and how it helps job seekers. Although Ada started with a threatening message that many jobs will be replaced, but many opportunities will also be created. So we'll go back to this discussion. If you have any questions, please send in your questions in the chat room, and then we can discuss after all speakers. So the next one is Hans Johan Weiberg. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. So Hans is great. He initiated Be My Eyes Only, which has got over millions of subscribers, volunteers who wanted to help blind people, and blind people who request for ad hoc assistance. And they have started a employment related service, a job sharing section in the app. So I hope that we will we'll look forward to hearing from Hans about how Be My Eyes be an effective inclusive workplace tool. Thanks, Hans.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes, definitely.
Perfect. Thank you. My colleague Carter, is he also on stage, so to speak? Because I would like him to stay a little later.
Yes. Can you hear me all right?
Okay, perfect. Yeah, good. Yes, thank you for the introduction. And this is pretty amazing that we have Microsoft and Ron from Australia. I am sitting in Denmark, so we are really all over the world. That is pretty amazing. And that is exactly what technology can do these days. So that's wonderful. Be My Eyes is an app. It's an app for blind people and for volunteers. And it's basically a very simple app because what we do is we make a live video connection between a blind person and a sighted volunteer. And this means that you, as a blind person, you can pull out your phone and point it at something, and then you start the Be My Eyes app, and within 20 seconds, we will find a live volunteer for you speaking the same language. And then you can point your phone at anything. Seeing AI can do a whole lot, but you cannot ask Seeing AI, can you help me find my pill that I dropped? Or can you tell me if I have set my oven to 200 degrees or something like that? But a real person can do that. I really encourage all blind people to use all the tools that we have, including Seeing AI and all the other tools. So you really get to know all the options you have. Be My Eyes is, well, I think it's pretty amazing that we have, you mentioned the volunteers that, and we have managed to find 4.5 million volunteers who are willing to, any time of the day, you can request a volunteer speaking your own language, which is pretty amazing that there's so many helpful people out there. And the most common use of Be My Eyes is inside your house. You drop something on the floor, or you have this, you are in the kitchen and you need to read the instructions and you cannot get Seeing AI to do it. And because there's some water on it or something like that. And then you grab the Be My Eyes, and this volunteer will say, okay, you have to turn it upside down, or something like that. It's on the other side, or we all know if something has been in the fridge for a week, the letters can be a little not easy to read and so on. But a human person can guide you to find the right person, or they can help you Google something or something like that. And the amazing thing is that we have volunteers all over the world. So even if you are in the middle of the night, you just press the button and we will find a volunteer speaking your language, but living in another time zone. So we can do this 24/7. It's absolutely free, because we believe that eyesight should be free, and also because it's volunteers who are doing this voluntarily. So that's also part of the reason. And yeah, so that's kind of the most obvious thing about Be My Eyes. You can call a volunteer, and you can also use something called specialized help. And specialized help is where you can call a expert. We have a number of companies you can call, and one of them has already been on stage today, and that is Microsoft. So if you run into an issue with your computer that is somewhat related to Microsoft, you can take the Be My Eyes app and you can go into specialized help, and you can press this Microsoft company, and then we will make a direct video call to the support at Microsoft. And the amazing thing about this is that when you make a call to Microsoft, when using Be My Eyes, then Microsoft know it's a blind person. So they make sure that the persons at Microsoft who knows about the issues that blind people can have with their computers and so on, those people are the one who get the call. And they also get the video part. Because we all know that when you call a company and you have an issue, the first thing they will ask you is, okay, what's on the screen now? And most likely your screen reader has stopped working or something like that. But with the video part, the support person at Microsoft can actually see what's going on. And they can tell you, oh, you need to reboot, or you need to check this box or something like that. And then hopefully you are back in business. And we have this kind of cooperation with a number of companies. And we hope to do this. And we will be more than happy to bring companies in Hong Kong on board as well. I just checked the numbers up. We have 720 blind and low vision people signed up in Hong Kong, and we have 7,600 volunteers in Hong Kong. We would like to have more, especially blind and low vision people, but we are super proud about these numbers. And now Carter will tell you about the feature we have called Be My Eyes for Work, and after Carter I will say a little bit more. But thank you so much. And to run in Australia, thank you so much for telling about all the kinds of job blind people can do. I think you're absolutely right that sometimes you think, a blind person can't do that. And of course, we cannot drive buses or fly planes or something like that. But there is a lot of positions that blind people can do. And with a open-minded workplace, we can do a lot. And I think it's proven that if you have a diverse workforce, you even earn more money. And a blind person is a contribution to a diverse workforce. Yeah, you can also do it for the money. So, and then I will hand it over to Carter to tell you a little more specific about Be My Eyes for Work.
Yeah, thank you so much, Hans. And thank you, Chen Yao and Ron and Ada, and also the two interpreters working so hard right now. You guys are doing great. Yeah, so as Hans so eloquently put, sort of going through what we offer blind and low vision people around the world, just as like an everyday solution to accessibility, I'd like to talk a little bit about what we can do for companies to make your workplace a little bit more accessible and inclusive. Let's see. So I should be sharing my screen right now. If I'm not, please let me know. But so let's just go ahead and start off with some numbers to sort of get an overview of the situation. Okay, so right now in the World Health Organization estimates that around 2.2 billion people are living with some form of vision impairment. And that's not just blind or low vision. It could be color blindness, or it could be aging eyes, but 2.2 billion people are living with some form of vision impairment, which is a massive amount. And of those people, maybe around 36% are fully unemployed, and then maybe another 35% have part-time employment. So we're dealing with a massive unemployment gap. And at Be My Eyes, one of our biggest sort of tasks that we're tackling, along with making the everyday accessible, is to make the workplace accessible. So how we do that is with a solution that we call Be My Eyes for Work. And so this is basically, I guess the easiest way to sort of sum this up is it's like a key that we unlock in your blind employees' Be My Eyes app that allows you to connect directly with your coworkers. So if we take a look at your normal Be My Eyes home screen, you have call first available volunteer. And then of course you have call specialized help, where you can call Microsoft, Google, even the Hong Kong Blind Union. You can call them all through specialized help and get customer support, as Hans talked about. And then with Be My Eyes for Work, we unlock this special channel. And it's the third button on the home screen called Be My Eyes for Work. And when you click this, you're taken to the different categories, the different departments of your company. So for example, if you have an HR department or a comms team or management or an IT team, you can take these different departments and put them in individual categories. So each category has its own profile. You can say like Microsoft IT, for example, something like that. And your blind or visually impaired coworkers and employees can call the IT team directly through the Be My Eyes app and get visual assistance with the issue. So just to give you just some use cases, let's think of an example. Like, for example, a blind or visually impaired coworker of yours is having issues with their Google Drive, perhaps, and their screen reader stopped working and they don't know exactly what's going on with their Google Drive, but they know that whatever is on there is completely confidential and cannot be shared with anyone outside the company. So they can't call a volunteer because that'll break confidentiality rules. They can't call Google because then Google will know about some confidential information. So who do you call? It's best to call a coworker, perhaps in your IT department. So just sort of troubleshooting technical issues. It could be anything like onboarding and training new employees. It could be, especially right now, really important, assisting with the remote work setup. I think we're all sort of dealing with that right now. And it could be, reading and understanding employee benefits. And I also want to sort of reiterate that this is not just for work. This could also be for universities, because I know a lot of remote university classes right now aren't completely accessible. It could be just for having meetings. Hans and I go on meetings a lot, and sometimes the Zoom links aren't always in the best spot. So we're always on calls right before, just, hey, can you make sure to send me the Zoom link again? A lot of this can be sort of mitigated with a quick connection with a coworker in a visual way. So this is Be My Eyes for work. The other way that we're sort of helping to sort of mitigate this gap of unemployment is through Be My Eyes Careers. And this is pretty simple as well. It's basically a specialized help profile specifically for your hiring team. So we could say like Acme hiring department, and that would be a specialized help profile where a blind or low vision person can find that profile and call you directly for assistance, filling in your application or applying for a job. So you can say in your description, Acme is hiring, call us for assistance in making sure that your application is set on time. And this has, this has further reaches than just applying. It can be online navigation through the websites. Sometimes websites are really crowded and kind of difficult to use with a screen reader. So this is an easy way to sort of cut through all the noise and call directly to an HR team in a company that's hiring. But it can also sort of be a real world use to it. If a blind or low vision job seeker is on site and say your company works in a rather large building, what they can do is call your HR team directly. If they know they have to show up for an interview at 1 o'clock, and they can say, this building is gigantic, I don't know where I am. Can you please help me find the room for an interview? So this not only is a great way to sort of connect and allow blind and low vision people to apply for your jobs, but it's also a great way to build trust from the beginning. And as we sort of reiterated this whole webinar, making a job or a workplace accessible is all about communication, and it's all about building trust. It's really just as easy as that. So Be My Eyes Careers is really about attracting talent from this wide pool of highly educated, highly skilled, and highly passionate professionals around the world. And it's about building trust for them to know that you care about accessibility and about providing the right accommodations to make them succeed. And so I think a lot of people ask, why would I hire someone with a visual impairment? And even sort of asking that question rhetorically sounds kind of silly. I mean, why wouldn't you? There's so many benefits, as we've talked about, maybe not as a pilot or a truck driver, but basically everything else can be done, even with a visual impairment. I can bring Hans back on to share some of our stories. But we have a couple of game changers around the world. Of course, our friend, Mr. Chong Chen Yao, I had the pleasure of interviewing him about his career and his history, but as well people like Haben Girma, who is a human rights lawyer, and she was the first deaf-blind person to graduate from Harvard Law School. Of course, to graduate from Harvard Law School, you have to make tremendous accommodations in order to get the right lectures, to take notes, to take tests in an accessible way. And that was all done through making the right accommodations so that she could succeed in her classes. We have Caroline Casey, who worked at Accenture for many years without anyone actually knowing she was visually impaired. She was able to do so with the right accommodations. And then we have people from around our Be My Eyes community, like Brandon Cole, who started out in sort of typecast job for a visually impaired person as a call center operator. And he worked his way up to manager at that call center. And he had a boss that would give him certain accommodations. Like, for example, every week he had to fill in a form to show the productivity of his team. And the form was completely inaccessible to him with a screen reader. So he would go through on a more accessible format, like a Excel spreadsheet, and fill in the form and then send that to his boss. And his boss would take the time just to fill in the form, the web form that was inaccessible for him. So it really just came down to making a 5-minute adjustment to make his job so much easier and make him able to do his job and succeed. And I encourage you, if you're curious, to go to bemyeyes.com/community-stories for more of these stories. And as well, some of them are highlighted on our Be My Eyes podcast and our other podcast, 13 Letters, which is specifically about assistive tech and accessibility. And if you're curious about how to get involved in specialized help or Be My Eyes for Work, or have more questions about how to make your workplace accessible, you can always email us at solutions@bemyeyes.com. And we'd be very happy to hear from you.
And I'll just add on a little bit because I'm visually impaired myself. And imagine that you are a blind person working in this office environment, and you run into an issue where you need a pair of eyes. The most likely thing you would do is to tap on the guy sitting next to you and ask him to help you. And if you have done that 3 times the same day, then you would really hesitate and you might spend an hour trying to figure it out yourself. But with Be My Eyes for Work, you don't have to use the same person over and over. And you just tap a button and then we will notify maybe 20 of your colleagues, and most likely one of them will say, yes, I want to help. And they just have a little break or something and they can help you for 5 minutes. And also over time, you will find those 10 people in the organization that are capable of helping you and who is actually answering the calls. And this means that when you have had the Be My Eyes for Work system running for a period of time, you have kind of built your own little network of people who really want to help you and are capable of it and know what you're doing and so on. So you will have this small secret force that you can use, and we can even make a take me to lunch button because as a blind person it can be kind of a difficult thing to go down to the canteen area and find the food and so on, but you can have your own little army of friendly colleagues who would like to go to lunch together with you, and you don't have to think about who should I ask today. You just press the button and then someone will come and pick you up. So this is just some of the ways. And for your employee, the workplace in general, it will be so much comforting for them to know that you are good. You always have the force that you need and the people at hand. And even if you're working from home, but which we all have been doing the last year, you can still use the same colleagues. And as Tara said, no information will ever leave the company. So you don't have to worry about this as a workplace or employer. So we try to make this as a good comforting thing for everybody. So and we're happy to answer any questions. Thank you
very much, Hans. Thank you, Kata. So you can find my interview in the stories of Be My Eyes. Okay. We are running quite late. So originally we planned to end just now, but with so many things now being said, we really need a good time to consolidate. So we will extend by hopefully 15 minutes. I hope you don't mind. Another apology is that we have actually over 200 people registering to join the webinar, but we forgot to extend the Zoom quota limit of 100 at the beginning. So some people were accidentally excluded. But we will make the talk available in some electronic form later on. We have, and then we will continue this conversation afterwards. I also want to take this opportunity to thank the translators. We have Cantonese translators, and then we have also sign language interpreters. Yeah. For the blind persons in the audience, I'm wearing a mask, even though I speak on the internet, in case the virus can go through the internet, so it's quite safe now. Okay, we have a lot of things. I also want to bring you another perspective. The World Blind Union Employment Committee, Ron and I were on the committee, have done a survey. I handpicked a few results. They are not yet releasing the report. They will announce the report in the June World Blind Union Assembly. So I'm allowed to pick a few results to share with you today. So on what the blind people like best about their jobs, they list number one, people, the employer, the co-workers, the customers, okay? Salary is only second. Well, this is confirming a lot of HR theory as well. So salary is important, but it's not the critical factors of a successful employment. Accommodations, so adjustments in environment or will help productivity, or even jobs, priorities, ways of doing things. People are very stuck about ways of doing things. You cannot see how do you do that, but there are millions of ways of doing it, as Ada talks about in technology. So if you allow accommodations, it's not that you say, oh, this is charity. It's rather a reforming, increasing productivity measures, okay? So respect and fulfillment, this is all universal. You know, flexibility we talk about. Intellectual challenge, people like to be challenged. People don't like to be given a job and then say, oh, don't worry, you just sit here, I'll give you the salary at the end. No, they want the power, they want the satisfaction of contributing. Okay, so these are the things that blind people are looking for. Okay, not charity, but opportunities. What are their dislikes? Okay, transportation hassles. Well, a lot of work from home has been done in the past year. I'm sure that more work from home will be practiced around the world. Inaccessibility of work, employment, well, that's obviously. Blind people are pretty independent, mobile people. So a lot of things are not about, I have heard employers saying, oh, we have a lot of staircase, so that's not suitable. No, that's not true. So, but people still live in inaccessibility. So inadequate, low salary, of course, all employers are looking for reasonable salary, decent salary, not higher salary. People's attitudes, that's a very important point. and then struggles with adaptation to work environment. If you make the work duties, I mean, this is a double sword. If you refuse to accommodate change, then obviously you prove yourself to be, I mean, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, you know. So we are not saying you have to make a special environment. We are saying it's an accommodation that, in fact, every employee deserves when in an inclusive and diversified workplace, you know. So bureaucracy and meetings, so this is universal. I think it's true to the sighted and the blind and everybody everywhere. We don't like bureaucracy and meetings, okay? So, I also want to list some of the tools. Some people are asking, oh, what kind of tools? So people list some are very simple things. Smartphone, of course, practically Apple and Android phones are made universally accessible to blind people. So that's excellent. Simple tools like white cane is being listed, you know, blind people just magnifier. So these are very simple things, talking products and so on. So I don't want to go down the list. So it's low-tech technologies, high-tech technologies. So don't worry about the tools. The blind people can solve them. And if they cannot, they will be supported by organizations. In Hong Kong, is the Hong Kong Blind Union. In Australia, it will be Vision Australia. And then you have BMI, you have CNAI, all sorts of things. So don't worry about the tools. Job satisfaction, of course, the survey shows that 70% of the respondents are happy with their jobs. But that's quite good. I mean, and 52% get receive promotion. So it shows you that how normal, how universal in a way, blind people's experience of work. So I'll list some of the top 5 occupations in this survey. They are not, well, I mean, it has to be said in all surveys, there are lots of limitations in terms of what countries respond and so on and so forth. So, but we still find 70% in management, a lot in office and administrations, education, training, library, computer, mathematical things, sales. So it's just to show you the diversity of jobs. So when you want to start to say what blind people can do, the stereotype is that you emphasize on hearing, on sight, but you have to be open about how things can be done alternatively, especially in the 21st century job market. So it is the innovation, the attitude, the core competence that makes a difference. So that would be the message, and I hope I also give a summary in a way to what has been raised by the speaker. Let's see what questions we have from the audience. And then we will also cover some of the things that might happen in Hong Kong. What do we want to do to improve employment in Hong Kong and elsewhere? So there is a question about how to enroll in Be My Eyes as a volunteer. I guess you have to download the apps. So Hans and Kat, how do you enroll?
Yeah, thank you so much for the question. It's the same app. So you go into your app store, Android or iPhone, and you download the Be My Eyes app, and then you sign up, and we will ask you if you are a person who want to receive help or you want to give help, and then you just choose your role. And it's a super simple way to sign up. So that's that's it. Thank you so much for the question.
Okay, another question for you is, how do you avoid abuse?
Well, we have a first of all, we have an age limit, so you have to be 17, and we have a strict reporting system. So if you get a call and it's from a strange person, or you get a strange volunteer, you can report the person, and we will ban them from the service as soon as we can. So that's how we do that.
Yeah. Like all matching apps, Uber and so on, there could be problems of abuse. So, but so far you don't have a lot of complaints.
No, we don't. No.
Okay, excellent. So, well, there is a question to Ada about CNAI, but is it available only in iPhone? I guess it is still not available in Android, right?
I'm asking maybe Hong Kong Blind Union can help you to localize with Cantonese and Android in Hong Kong.
Okay, so you are not fighting against Google, it is.
I know, Mr. Zhang, you are doing something in Hong Kong. Hey, forget about Google. I know that you're working something in Hong Kong to see how to localize the CNAI.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll organize another webinar on this topic, actually, on more apps. So another question is, okay, this is for everybody. I think starting with Ron. So how do you sell blind people to employers? So you say they are of equal abilities, or there are some special advantages in employing blind person. There are some special qualities that blind people might bring to your work. So what do you say to these two options?
So Chen Yao, I sell people who are blind or have low vision in a couple of ways. The first thing is they are the best advocates for themselves. And the young people, particularly that we help with employment, we give a lot of skills to them around building confidence and being able to demonstrate that their disability is not a barrier. But the really big thing that I tell employers is give someone a try, because every single person who's blind or has low vision who is in a job has got an absolute obligation to everybody else who's blind or has low vision to do a fantastic job and demonstrate the skills of the people that they have as peers. And what I find is that once you get one person into an organization, you'll get a dozen, because the skills, the expertise, the superpowers that people have are so darn good that they breed in organizations.
Okay, any other people who want to contribute to these questions?
Well, I just want to say I'm totally agree, and also, if I might add, that I am really sure that the sighted person at this workplace, they will be more proud of their workplace if they have a diverse workforce, and they will absolutely embrace a blind person or a hard of hearing person and so on. But of course, they need to be skilled for the job and all that. But that won't be a problem at all. And they will be surprised how many add-on skills they will get for the money. So absolutely.
Thank you.
Mr. John, I would like to use
Can I
you
ask
as
a question? Ada first.
I would like to use you as an example. I know that you are the idol of a lot of people. We can see that you are really strong in all your working life. You are an influencer. You are really strategic, but you totally cannot see. But you are really smarter than a lot of people. So that I think you are a really good role model for this question.
Well, I don't want people to mystify blind people and say they have mysterious abilities. You know, as I was young, I was asked to consider going into fortune telling. You know, so no, there isn't special mystified abilities. It's all about human potentials. So you have to be motivated, trained, passionate about the things, and learning. Learning is a human characteristic. Okay, so we all have, and we are not. This is not affected by blindness, and opportunity is the key again. Okay, another question. So given that COVID has forced a change in the design of work, how do you expect that remote working may benefit people who are blind like me? So, and anyone want to respond?
Now, I'll kick that one off. I think COVID has been absolutely brilliant for the blindness and low vision community. What it's taught all Australians is that working from home is a viable option. And what it's done for us is, we're in Australia, very, very much unlike Hong Kong, population of Australia is spread out in across a massive continent. And we have this, I have this saying that says that everywhere there's an internet connection, there's a job. And everywhere there's an internet connection, there's a job for a person who's blind or has low vision. So the number of opportunities, I think, is expanding dramatically. And for example, we've got call center operators all across Australia now. We don't put them in a room in Sydney. We put them anywhere that they live. And that just opens up so many opportunities for people. I think it's fantastic, COVID, from that perspective.
Okay, good.
And if I may add, just the fact that you can go to a job interview now these days and say, okay, I want to go to the office every day, and they will look at you and say, oh, that's weird. A year ago, the other thing would be kind of weird to say, I don't want to go every day. So this COVID thing has really, as one said, opened the field. And the thing about going to a office every day, it can take half the energy that you have as a blind person, because train and buses and cars and all that can really drain you before you even get to the job. So if you only have to go 2 or 3 times a week, that would be an amazing thing for many blind people if we can do that, and they can work from home the other days and so on. So this it's a whole new situation, and I believe a better situation for many blind people in the job force, so on the workforce. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So Ada, can you have your last word in this question? You have a global view on jobs, all right?
And see that whoever the visually impaired, I work with them, they are really strong in the technical device. They are strong in their phone. They can manage good. They can manage the computer good. Like Mr. John, you're working on your device now. So that I can see that with the remote work, it is really an advantage for them because they can stay in a very safe environment, their home or their office, and then they don't need to go out, but they can just handle everything in front of them with the device. Especially now with virtual call, we don't always necessarily need to open the video or even open the video. We can have more sincere face. We can see each other, but they just need to hear the voice. So that I think that is a definite advantage for the pandemic with the remote working environment for the people with disability.
Definitely, I concur that. I started work at 6:30 this morning with a morning webinar until now. So, and then working with people from all over the world in different time zones throughout the day. So it's excellent. My daughter, who is not a blind person, she's in the States as a young person. She gets her job through an online interview and working and getting a promotion without ever meeting anybody in her organization so far in the past year. So yeah, so they actually get rid of their office altogether. So anyway, with that small anecdote, I would like to conclude this webinar. In a way, it is a continuing effort. It's not a stop. We want to thank everybody. We may not be able to answer all the questions because of the time limit, but we would definitely answer them by email. I would like for I suddenly get a last question, which is about placement consultants and placement in schools. So how do we approach them? So I mean, I think we should promote all sorts of employment for the blind from school onward until they get to employers. Because of the time limit, I really cannot go into details in discussing it, but it's an important question. We'll address them offline. And then let me thank the sponsor of the event, Bailey Gilbert, and thank Michael Page for supporting it. I would like to thank the translators and the sign interpreters, and also the speakers in particular. So Ron, Ada, and Hans and Kata, you are giving us excellent insights. The reason why we organize this in English with an international speakers and audience is that we hope Hong Kong as an international city would benefit and also would be a model for employment of visually impaired. Because I hear somebody say, if you are, the way you treat the most marginalized group in your society demonstrates the quality of your society. So I hope here in Hong Kong, as a successful business, financial city, vibrant in civil society, will be able to demonstrate that we are also ahead in inclusive employment. So on behalf of the Hong Kong Blind Union, thank all the audience. Look out, we will have more seminars, webinars on different themes. Thank you very much. Have a good evening or morning.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Thank
folks.
you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
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 Bye bye. Thank you.